So my name is Marlene Lehman. I was a Searle, and Private Charles Searle was my father. And when the World War II was over for 50 years, the Women's Institute of Ontario asked if we might write down some of our war memories. And so I did, and I had my story with a lot of other ladies, of course, published in this lovely book. And so I'm going to share just a little bit with you now. So my father, Charles Searle, was working at the Ingot Iron Factory in Guelph during the first few years of the war. The men were being called into the army according to their age. My dad was over 30 by this time, but he didn't wait to be called up to join the army. He left before his call came. I remember the day the War Department called to tell him that the time had come. My mother proudly said to them, "He's already gone." He joined the Essex Scottish unit in London, Ontario, and was sent to British Columbia to train in the mountains. On February the 22nd of 1944, my birthday, I was playing down on Perth Street, which is now Arthur Street in Guelph, and along came my dad in his army uniform. He was home for a short visit before being shipped overseas. My family was complete for a while. Mom, Dad, Dawn, age 7, myself, 5, and Bill, age 2. We went to a studio in the square in downtown Guelph and had a family photo taken. I have the photo here, and I have it on my dresser all the time. And that picture was published in this book along with my story, which I thought was very nice. Then off we went to the train station on Airmosser Road and Cardigan Street in Guelph. What a crowd. Everyone was there to say goodbye to the Guelph soldiers who were being shipped overseas. My grandparents and many of my aunts and uncles and cousins came to wish my dad and all the soldiers the best. I can still hear the whistle of the train as it pulled away from the station. All the soldiers were leaning out of the window and waving, and everyone was crying and waving and trying to be brave. My 7-year-old brother told Mother, Bill, and myself that he would look after us, and he always has, right to this very day. I was in Miss Pickett's class at St. Agnes School at Guelph, and we prayed every day for the soldiers. I especially prayed for my dad and for peace. And I was so proud to have a dad fighting for us across the ocean. All the children donated 50 cents a week for war saving stamps. That was a lot of money in those days. And Miss Pickett printed our names on the chalkboard as we purchased these stamps. On Easter of 1944, my brothers and I sent my dad a soldier's Catholic prayer book. In the front, inside the cover, we wrote, or Mother wrote it for us, "To our daddy, with love, from Dawn, Marlene, and Bill." My dad wrote letters home to my mother and individual letters to each of us. There's 4 letters from in 1944, March, and August, and November, and December. As you read the letters, my dad was always telling us to be good, so I hope we were good. When Dad was on leave in Belgium, he bought us wooden shoes. And I have the wooden shoes here as well. These are from Belgium. We got them for Christmas that year. Early in 1945, my mother received that telegram stating that my father was missing. I remember her face, but she never lost hope. She had had all her teeth out, my grandma told us, and she had yellow jaundice. And then she gets that kind of a telegram. But then on February the 19th, 1945, Dad was killed by a sniper's bullet during the liberation of Holland, just 3 days before my birthday. We have the telegrams from the War Department saying he was killed, and later he was buried in Germany, and later his body was reverently exhumed and moved to Holland. He is buried in Groesbeek Cemetery in Nijmegen, Holland. I remember my father's funeral here in Guelph at the Church of Our Lady, now called the Basilica. Father J.O. O'Reilly was the priest that said the Mass. Dad's coffin was draped with a Union Jack, and his name is on a plaque in the Church of Our Lady. when Father O'Reilly was leaving the Church of Our Lady Parish to retire, we all went over. I was in the high school at the time there at Loretto, and we talked one-to-one. And he said, I remember all the days that your dad and I went fishing together. So I thought that was a nice little memory too. So thanks, Dad. I'm proud to be your daughter.